Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Just Make It Pretty podcast. Today, our topic is the human side of sales and how self-worth shapes your performance and your team's performance. And of course, I have a guest that I'm really excited to announce to you and to introduce to you. But first, I wanted to give you a little bit of background into this topic and introduce it to you as well. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the slightly unhinged marketing podcast for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, also known as the Pixel Wizard, and my goal is to tackle the tough stuff that goes in behind the scenes in marketing and offer actionable tips, creative insights, and a little bit of humor to spark some creativity. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. A lot of people, I think, in our industry think performance is about like tactics. It's how you say things, how you sell things, what you do to lead or how you lead. But it actually starts with your own self-worth and how you see yourself. And so today, that's what we're talking about. And I have brought in an amazing guest that talks about this all the time. So welcome, Brook Jennings, for being here. Thank you for joining the podcast today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. It is an absolute honor, and I just love you and feel extreme gratitude that you asked me to be a guest.
If you don't know Brook Jennings, where have you been, first of all? But second of all, she's the founder of Elevate, actually. And she's doing great things where she helps leaders and teams rise higher through authentic leadership and human-centered development. That's how I know her. But I would love for you to also, Brook, tell us a little bit about Elevate, actually, what you do, and how did you get into this role that you're in now?
Yes, I love hearing people's stories about how they got to where they are because every story is so unique. And the new home industry is simply the best because 90% of the people who are in our industry didn't go to school for this. Like, no part of us as childs were like, I want to be in marketing, or I want to be in online sales, or I want to be a new home sales professional. So for me, I started in the industry at the age of 21, and I started as a sales assistant. And I only got this job because while I was in college, my degree is in psychology, I happened to lease an apartment to someone who worked for a builder. And she said, "Oh my gosh, you have such a great personality. We're hiring sales assistants. You should apply." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, I have three jobs. Can I do it?" And I said, "You know what? YOLO. I'll never turn down a potential opportunity." So I started working for this builder and I fell in love with it. I had always wanted, my plan was to get my master's in counseling. I wanted to counsel troubled youth. I wanted to counsel kids who had childhoods like I had. And then when I started in this role, I thought, "Oh my goodness, this is counseling." It's simply counseling people through the new home process, which is so special and joyous. And I just simply fell in love with it. And after a few years, I realized, okay, the question I'm always asking myself is, how can I have the most impact? Because there's really not as many people as you would think out there striving to change the world. And I've tried in college, I thought I was an environmentalist and I went vegan, and it was so exhausting trying to change the world in that way. And so I thought, you know what, let me change the new home sales world because I joined this team that had so much tenure on it. These people's skill set was so high, but their will was completely gone. There was a lot of negativity, a lot of complaining. And I thought, man, they've totally lost sight on this gift we get to do. And so that's when I knew I want to not only sell houses, but I want to sell salespeople on this gift that we get to do. Then I'm not only impacting my customers I'm selling, but if I can impact a lot of salespeople, that's going to translate to impacting their customers. And so I was selling for a builder for 9 years, and then I I became a trainer for another training company. And then I just had some different ideas and a different vision for the future. And so that is why I started Elevate, actually. And everyone has asked me, what the heck is up with the name? Like, where does that come from? And I will gladly tell you. So, the word actually is a power word for me. So any defining moment I've ever had, the word actually has come into my brain. And it all started at 16 when I told my grandparents who raised me that I was expecting, that I was pregnant. And my grandfather, he looked at me and he said, "You're going to be just like your mom." Now, my mom is an addict. Both of my parents are. My childhood was very dark in that aspect. And I thought, no, actually, I'm not. Like, no, actually, I'm not. And then that is translated to so many other things of if someone's told me I couldn't do something, if you ever want me to do anything, just tell me I can't do it. And so then I would say, find myself saying, actually, I can, or actually, it wasn't even something I wanted to do, but since you've told me I can't do it, now I'm going to. And so when I thought about what would I name a company, it's like, what do I want people to do? I want them to elevate actually. There are companies who pay tons of money for training and their teams don't actually get better. And it's because the training is for the trainer, not actually the people. And that's one area where I feel that I am different.
That's an amazing story. And you share your past and your story so authentically and so openly. I've seen a lot on LinkedIn, and I really appreciate that. I love your story and I love the name actually. I thought it was really cute and I liked how it like just flows together. I don't know. When I saw your announcement, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I was really excited.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you. Thank you. And I freely share my story. And the reason I do that is because we all have one. Every single person has a story. If you are alive right now, you have overcome something really hard, something traumatic. I was having a conversation with a friend just this morning, and I told him, I said, whenever you finally feel confident enough to share your story, you are going to feel so free. And not only are you going to get better and feel better, but everyone who hears it's going to be better for it. Other people aren't ready, and that's fine. But if I can share all the failures, all the hardships, just everything, like why not share? Because one person, maybe it makes them feel for a second not alone, or maybe it makes them feel safe. Okay, she was able to share this. Maybe I could share because it's very healing. The more we keep things inside, the more anxious, the more just bad you feel. It can really like just fester inside and become toxic. Whereas when you release it and then you realize, oh, wait, I'm not alone either. There are other people who grew up similar to the way I did. It's just beautiful. And everyone has a story to share. Most people haven't been asked about it. And so if you share, if you ask, it opens up the door for more.
I was at an event last week and someone said something, if I can remember the quote, she was like, "What's most private is most universal." And I love that because it's so true. Like the things that we all like are, oh, I can't tell anyone, or that we're ashamed of, or like an embarrassing past or something like that. Those are the things that really connect us with everyone. And everyone actually has those same feelings and a lot of the similar experiences. I loved that quote. And it really reminds you to be like, yeah, like you share, you're going to build connection with others, which is such a beautiful thing.
Because who wants to hang out with a perfect person? Not me. I don't want to hang out with you if you're perfect because then you're just going to make me feel bad about myself.
Yeah, it's not real. That does
Yeah,
not exist.
yeah, yeah. Amen.
I'm excited to talk about the human side of performance today. And it's really a combination topic. I feel like it's like mindset, it's leadership, it's performance, it's sales, it's so many things. And I have a bunch of questions and I'm super excited to hear your perspective on this because I've heard you speak a couple times at like IBS and you're a very great speaker, by the way, but I love the information that you share around this mindset. So let's dive in. My first question, I want to set the stage of what we're talking about today. How would you define like self-worth and how your own view of yourself has evolved through your career and how it like impacts leadership in general?
Yes. So when I first start working with salespeople, this is the first thing we address is what are your beliefs about yourself? Because we are all in sales, right? If I am a parent, I'm consistently selling my child on why they should eat broccoli over the crumble cookie. If you were a leader, you were in sales because you were consistently selling your team on the why behind new processes and the why behind why they need to do this new thing or use this new platform or adapt to this new platform process.
Mm.
And for some reason, though, actually, not for some reason, I know the reason. The world we live in has demonized the sales industry to the point where there are so many sales professionals who do not even have their career listed online, like on their Facebook. It's almost like a shameful thing to be able to say that you're in sales because we all think of Matilda, right? Like the dad, the sleazy car salesman. We've been told that it's pushy, aggressive, or manipulative. And if you are a salesperson, who believe that sales is sleazy or yuck, then you are going to try to reject that belief, that thought, and disassociate yourself from it. And in turn, you're not going to do a lot of the necessary sales behaviors. And then there's going to be no passion in it. And so the first step to having high self worth is having a high belief around whatever it is that you're doing for a living. When I became a teen mother, my self worth was in the floor because I had so much shame and felt so unworthy of love. I felt just so unworthy of everything. And it ate me alive. I went into a huge depression and at one point was suicidal. And it was all because I felt so unworthy. And so it's what's the point of even being here? And then you start to believe everyone would be better off without you. And that's an extreme example, but you see it all the time in the sales world and in the new home industry where it's, oh gosh, I don't want to call them because I don't want to bother them because they'll tell me if it's me. Like they'll tell me when they're ready. And that's simply not the reality. And so when I started in the new home industry, and I think this is why I have such an affinity for it, is because when I started in this industry, no one knew my past. I am from a very small town in Tennessee, like tiny town. In Gordonsville, there's not even a Walmart. Like we have a ShopRite and one red light. It's tiny. And I carried around all this shame. Even if it wasn't reality, it was my perception. And your perception is real, your reality. But when I started in the new home industry, I just had these people who looked at me as someone who could do great things. And because all these other people deemed me as worthy, it was contagious and I started to believe in myself. And then that's when absolute magic happened. I realized that I was no longer trying to dilute my personality or dilute things I wanted to do, that I had freedom and a safe space to have success. There are people who don't feel worthy of success. And the crazy thing about our beliefs is whatever you believe, you make it true. You see it in new home salespeople. If I don't believe people buy homes on the first visit, I'm always going to manifest that to be true by never asking for the sale. If I don't believe this person's going to say yes, I'm never going to ask the question. Whatever you believe, you make it true. And I started reading a lot in 2018. This is embarrassing, but I read my very first like personal growth and development book. And then I became obsessed with knowledge because I started reading and then I started implementing some of the things I was learning. And then you learn about affirmations. And now I just wake up every day and I'm like, I'm awesome. And today's going to be a great day. And because I believe it, I make it true. And every day is a great day. And I feel pretty awesome. And when it comes to sales in particular, a high self worth is everything. And it all starts with what are the beliefs I have about the career that I'm doing? And then what are the beliefs I have about myself and my capabilities?
Yeah. I mean, I think you said something really important that I don't hear a lot of people talk about is that shame that people feel as a salesperson. And I have to admit, like, that's not something that I ever like really consider because I think that you're right. The world has this stereotype on salespeople. And even like when you're going in somewhere, you're like, oh gosh, there's going to be a salesperson. You get nervous. But I never really connected what that feels like for the salesperson that's in there doing their job. And I feel like an asshole now because that's awful. Like how awful that as a society, like that kind of empathy is gone. So thank you for sharing that. And I think it's just a really important thing that we need to talk about more as everyone's experience.
Yeah, here's how I what I try to imprint on people is sales is a gift of servitude. It does not matter what you are selling life improvement. There is nothing to be ashamed about that. If you are selling cars, you are selling transportation for someone to get to work. You are selling transportation for them to be able to pick up their kids from school. You are selling them something that makes them feel significant. If you are working at the mall and you're selling one of those little muscle guns at the kiosk, hey, that is life improvement to whoever in the world exercises and has sore muscles. And when you are selling homes, you are selling the backdrop to someone's entire life. I cannot think of anything more special than that. It
Mm.
is such a gift. And so instead of having all this shame around it, we should have so much pride and gratitude that we get to be a small piece of someone's journey that they may only take once in their lifetime, maybe twice, maybe a few times. So it's such a gift. And when that perspective changes, everything changes because now the actions and the things that you do are no longer draining, they're life giving because now you're on this mission to change someone's life through a new home. It's special.
Yeah, it really is. And like you said too, like everything in life is sales. I remember my husband, he was going for a new career in a new industry that he had not been in, but he was going in for this interview and there was sales involved and he had never done that before. And I remember like hyping him up before the interview and I'm like, you got this. And they're gonna ask me like what my sales experience is, and I'm gonna say nothing. What am I gonna do? And I was like, no, your whole life is sales. Like all these things that I gave him a bunch of examples and he ended up getting that job, which yay me, I gave him good advice, but really do feel like that is so true. And like kids, just anywhere in life, like you're always trying to convince somebody or to give somebody a solution to their problem or whatever. And that's all we're doing in sales.
Yes. And here's this for any salespeople listening, you will never, ever, or any salesperson, doesn't matter what you're selling, ever come across as salesy or pushy if you are looking at that person simply wanting to help them improve their life. If it's you, amazing. If it's not you, that's okay too. Your goal is to simply help them decide. The only time you ever come across as sleazy or pushy is if you are looking at that person thinking, I want to get a sale, I want to get a sale. The difference is intent. And that's the difference between persuasion and manipulation, because really it's the same path to get there. The difference is the intention that I have. If my intention is to help you make the best decision for you and help you improve your life, that's going to be amazing. And people are going to see it as the conversation, the questioning is very collaborative and helpful versus me looking at that person thinking, oh, I just want to get a sale for my benefit. If it's for their benefit, you'll never come across a negative way. You only will if you're looking at it for your benefit. It's always try to remind people of that.
So what we talked about earlier is you're connecting the like who we are, our mindset, our energy, our intent. It matters more than what we're doing and like what we're saying is basically what you're alluding to there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So how do you, as a salesperson and also as leaders of salespeople, how do you manage that aspect along with you have sales quotas and you are like looking for high performers and like you want this kind of go get it attitude, but you're also wanting people to come across as authentic and have that mindset.
It's because we have the wrong definition of high performance. So, a lot of people think being a high performer is being a hustler, doing things you don't want to do, working late at night, working 7 days a week. When we interview someone and they say, oh, I work 24/7, 365, like I'm this, that's a red flag to me because unless you can tell me the why behind the intense action, because what a high performer in my mind is someone who is extremely passionate about what they're doing and they are working towards a cherished goal. If you want to be a high performer, you don't have to work 24/7, 365. You don't have to do the things you don't want to do because that's how we look at it. We think most high performers are like, oh, I just do the things that I don't really want to do, but I got to do. But when you're extremely passionate, you want to do it. When I was selling, and I still am because I'm so social, just a huge networker. I love meeting people. I love talking on the phone to people. I love it. It doesn't feel like work to me. If you're someone who your mindset is, I should probably do this, I should do this. When you're a passionate person, it's not a should, it's a must. It's no, I must do this because this is how I'm going to have the most impact. And so I think the first step is what is a high performer because it's never someone who is working towards burnout, which is what a lot of times as leaders we want. And I will share this because if you are a successful person, there are only three ways you can find success. And the opposite of those three ways are the reasons that you will fail. So, the number one thing you need to find success, number one, is a strong want. You have to know what you want. what are you doing this for? And it can be a selfish want. It can be, I want to be debt free. It could be something like, I want my kids to go to college and not take out student loans. It could be, I want to have a house. You have to want something, because if there is nothing that you want, there is not going to be anything that propels you to do all the actions and efforts necessary to find great success. And if I do not have a strong want, I may do the action, but I'm not going to put a ton of effort behind it and it's not going to work. Or I'm going to do the action full force and then I am going to burn out because I don't have this thing that I'm excited about that I'm running towards. So you have to identify what is it that you want. The second thing is, what are my beliefs? So you have to have strong wants, you have to have a strong belief system. And then the third thing is state management. You would not believe how many adults are walking around this world and they can't manage their state. They are always at the effect of everything going on around them. So if someone cuts you off in traffic, now it's a blow up and now we're about to have a bad day. Or if they get a phone call or someone says something to them or a customer cancels, if you can't manage your state, everything in the external world is going to control you. You can never find success that way. And so you have to be able to manage your state of, hey, it doesn't matter if you're the first walk in of the day or the fifth walk in, you're getting the same energy level because I can turn my energy on. I was at a training this week in Washington, and at the end of the training day, the president was like, your energy is just amazing. Like, it is not dipped at all today. And I said, it's a choice. If I start telling myself, oh, I just don't feel great, or oh, I'm tired, or oh, it's exhausting, you know what? I'm going to not be feeling great and I'm going to be exhausted. But if you tell yourself, like, whoa, I am energized, and then I use my body in a way that makes it feel like I'm energized, and just my posture and the way I'm carrying myself, because there's so much science to prove that your body can change your mind. And so if you're ever feeling low energy, just change what you're doing. And so those are the three things you have to succeed: strong want, high belief system, and ability to manage your state. If you know someone who consistently is not having success, it's because they have weak wants. There's nothing they really want that's propelling them forward, or they have a limiting belief system. Same with what we mentioned in sales. Maybe I don't believe people are buying right now. I'm going to make that true because my brain will never allow me to prove myself wrong. And then I can't manage my state. So anytime my manager comes to give me feedback, all of a sudden I'm annoyed. Or anytime that, I get told no, my whole life is just ruined and this is pointless. And so I think in life, the most powerful things we have, the first is self-awareness and the second is choice. And I know me as a trainer, I'm constantly just creating self-awareness in people. And then after I give you the self-awareness, you're now self-aware, you have to make the choice to do something about it, because I can't come sit in your model and do it for you. And my goal and my hope is that we've created a strong enough want for your life, something that you believe is actually attainable and possible for you. And then now it's full force ahead and you're ready to go crush life. But you'll never be a high performer without the passion and the joy, because that's what really drives it. It's not the burnout and the, oh, I got to do this even though I don't want to, or I'm willing to do the things no one else is doing. It's okay. Where does that come from? Is it because you want something, or is it because you just want the ego or the recognition? Because that will only get you so far.
The world right now, it glorifies that in a way, that like hustle culture and all of that. But it is exhausting. And I think it's really evident when you see someone who is really driven by something inside them to do all of these things, and someone that's just doing it because they feel like they're supposed to, or they have to, or whatever.
Yeah, because they want the significance of it all, but that wears off. It has to be the mission that you're on. And then once you hit that goal, what else do you like? What's the next mission? You have to always be looking forward, because I don't know, that's what's going to sustain. Life is hard, and we are all living in a world that we were never meant to live in. We should be like killing buffalo and living in caves, and we should be gardening. Like, our lives should look vastly different than what it does. And because of that, and with social media and just information overload, stress overload, most people, a huge percentage of people, are walking around life in a completely disassociated state. They are completely detached, and it's a survival mechanism, really, because again, this is not the life we were meant to live, and it's happened so quickly that our brains, our bodies have not had time to adapt. And so, because of that, we completely detach. And when I detach, I'm not having, there's nothing I really want because I don't care. I don't really care about anything. You can always tell a detached person because the coolest thing will happen in their life, and they're just like, wow, yeah, this is great. And not experiencing, we're not experiencing emotions anymore at the really high, beautiful level they were meant to be experienced because of that. And so I always tell people, I'm like, listen, your competition's asleep. Most of the world is asleep. It is the people who decide to wake up every day and move with intention and find joy in the smallest things. Like I had a Walmart delivery order and I don't know where my wires were crossed, but it was on my porch at 6:30 this morning. And I just thought this is the best thing ever because I was out of matcha and now I can actually have one. And I thought this is just a sign of just a fantastic day. If I notice like a new flower growing, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. Let's take a picture. And we should all be doing that. But we don't do that anymore because we're so focused on our own stresses and the things that are overwhelming us that we no longer appreciate the little things. But when you decide and make a conscious effort of, I'm going to pay attention to today, I'm going to pay attention to what's around me, I'm actually going to laser and focus on the conversations that I'm having and not listen just to move on, but really listen to engage in a beautiful conversation and get to know another human being who's living this experience that I'm living. It's crazy, but absolute magic happens. And that is why I say now's the easiest time to be successful because most people are going to be doom scrolling for hours a day in their model homes or at night. And if you're the one person who decides, today I'm going to read, today I'm going to do something creative, I'm going to think through some different ideas for social media, you're going to have success because you're moving with intention. And that is something no one is doing anymore in this world. It's crazy.
So that you mentioned something about social media that I kind of want to circle back to because I think that has such a huge impact on our mental health today in this world. And it's that like comparison all the time of seeing people on social media and their life is just seemingly perfect because that's all that they're posting. And like how that can affect how we perceive our own success. So how do you see that kind of playing in with like leaders and things that you work with?
I think that is what makes so many people want to hide on social media because they feel not good enough. And when you understand that everyone is operating from a highlight reel, like I'm not posting my panic attack on my Instagram. Honestly, I might actually. I might on my stories. You never know what you're going to get. But it is just showing all the really good things that are happening in people's lives, and it might not be real. One thing I've done to help me get through it, because for the longest time I was like, oh my gosh, look, they're like running that marathon and they're doing all this cool stuff. Oh my God, and I'm over here on my couch eating a Swiss cake roll, is recognizing that I'm so happy for them. The best thing I ever did for my mental state and just my life is when I see someone doing something awesome, I think, I'm so happy for them. Even if at first I'm not, right? Because whatever you speak into your brain, it'll start to believe you. And then you actually do genuinely become happy for them. And so I love seeing people's success. I love seeing people with a six-pack ab, like, oh, girl, I love that for you. But it's everyone's priorities are different. My priorities are eating a Swiss cake roll every now and then, and I'm sacrificing a nap for it. And that's okay, but social media is huge. It's so powerful in sales and in marketing. If you're a new home sales professional, you got to do it. You got to do it. A study came out. I don't remember if it was Gong or who did the study, but it was that salespeople who use social media outsell those who don't by 67%. And that goes back to your self-worth. It's realizing that you're amazing and not worrying about if other people think you're amazing, because that's another thing that holds us back from posting is we all have a fear of embarrassment and we think, oh my gosh, like someone is going to probably think something negative about me. For sure they will, but you want to know why? It's because they see you doing something they're not doing, and it reveals their lack. If you ever have someone who is unhappy or threatened by you stepping outside of your comfort zone and you working towards success, it's because they don't want you to be successful, simply because it reveals their lack and they don't want to have to put forth energy and effort, right? And they're like, Gummit, you're gonna make me like have to start doing social media. Or it's, hey, listen, you gotta quit with the posting. Before you know it, the manager's gonna make all of us do it, and we don't want to do it. And so it's just recognizing that Everybody is the main character of their story, and you're just a side character. And who cares if for a minute someone looks at you and judges you? It's not a big deal. In 10 years, are you going to be thinking about that? No. Do what you want. Just do what you want. Make the videos, post consistently, think through some fun, creative ideas, but also success leaves clues. So if you see videos doing well, make one, copy it. Just do what if someone's successful having, if they're doing it, just copy it. But yeah, I love social media. It's so fun, but it absolutely can be mentally draining. Again, back to intention. If you let it, if you manage your state and don't let it penetrate your thoughts in a negative way.
I think too, I'm always telling salespeople that they need to make videos, and I'm like, please just make even just like pictures. Like sometimes it's just hard. People don't want to do it, and I get it. But I always try to remind them, it's if you don't look back on your past videos and cringe a little bit, then you're not really being yourself. You're not really trying. You're not getting better. Everybody does that. We all look back to the content we posted years ago and we're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
I wish I could remember what podcast I listened to this on, but the guy said if you're not extremely embarrassed or cringing over the first thing you did, like the first book you wrote or the first podcast episode you did or the first thing you posted, you did it too late.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you did it too late. Like you just got to throw it out there and then think, my goal is to allow this to inspire someone who is too scared to post or worried about that fear of embarrassment. And that's the thing. Why do we let people control what we do? Like worried that they're going to think about us for a second. If you're thinking about me, good or bad, like that's so cool. It's so cool. You like care. It's like I love being cared for, and that's just a sign that maybe you care for me a little bit.
Like that new Taylor Swift song, the Actually Romantic.
Don't even get me started. I am the showgirl. I love Taylor Swift so much. I love her.
I love that song because it's like everybody who's out there hating on you, judging on you, thinking anything, like they are helping you.
Yeah.
And I had a post on LinkedIn weeks ago now, but I had a post on LinkedIn that got a lot of traction. And I got my first haters on there, which were like out there, be like, oh, maybe you should try researching before you post or whatever.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I was so excited about it though. First of all, they're probably experiencing something in
Yes.
their life. It really doesn't have anything to do with me. But I was so excited because I was like, this is how you know, one, you're doing something impactful, and two, that like all these people now are showing up and it's helping my algorithm. And we get to have a really cool conversation about like why they feel that way or whatever. And so it really is a mindset shift about all of your experiences that you have to choose to see things as happening for you and not to you. But that can be really difficult. I'll admit, like I've really struggled with it sometimes. And I am a big, like, I say a lot of things out loud. And I got feedback recently and they were like, this person was like, you say that you're scared of things a lot, but like you're really not scared of it. You just don't want it to happen. But the more you say it, the more you put that out into the world, the more it's going to make it true and you're actually going to be scared. And I'm like, that's such good feedback because like it was just a language switch that I
Yes.
needed, to not manifest these things that I don't want. But it really takes you really have to be very intentional in order to make those changes. I'm interested for you, what would you tell people that are trying to make these mindset shifts or trying to identify where they need to make shifts? How do they go about that?
I am all about just tell me exactly what to do. So if you want to
Mhm.
change your life, you got to do the compound effect. You can't change everything all at once because then you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to go right back to your comfort zone. And so I tell everybody I work with to do these very simple things first thing in the morning. Anyone who is listening to this, literally start tomorrow. The first is when you wake up, when your alarm goes off, you have to get out of bed immediately because your brain and your body are connected, and you want to tell your brain that we do what we decide we're going to do, and we decided to set that alarm for that time for a reason. So you got to get out of bed. You got to go outside and you got to breathe fresh air. So you need to take 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out. You can do it for 5 minutes, 15 minutes. Just do just a pattern of breathing that is going to energize you. Because to do anything I want to do, I have to do it from a place of energy. Energy is influence, and you will never influence anyone from a low energy state. 90% of our energy doesn't come from food, it doesn't come from water, it comes from oxygen. So when you first wake up, go out. The reason I say go outside is because our homes are so filled with chemicals, from the candles we burn to the plug-ins we use to the cleaning supplies. And so you have to go outside and just breathe some fresh air and fuel your body. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to say out loud 5 things you're grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours. You cannot say, grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my health. No. You have to say things that have happened in the last 24 hours. I'm grateful for that cup of coffee. It was the perfect coffee creamer ratio. I am so grateful that Walmart showed up at 6:30 a.m. instead of 6:30 p.m. That was so cool to have that done and knocked out. And I got a matcha. I'm so grateful for that conversation that I had with Sarah. That was so life-giving. Whatever it is, it has to be little things throughout your day, because that's what's going to allow you to be awake, and that is going to train your brain all throughout your day to look for gratitude, because your brain, you'll notice it after day 3 of doing this. If not, call me and say you were wrong. That's how confident I am, because here's what happens. You do it the first day, you do it the second day. By the third day, your brain's, man, like this person is going to be having to make me say out loud all these things that have happened last 24 hours. So I better pay attention. And it happens unconsciously, which is so beautiful, because then you're not having to put in extra effort. Your brain is going to seek things to be grateful for all throughout the day. Where gratitude lives, fear, stress, anxiety cannot also exist. And you find what you focus on in life. And so I want to focus on all the good things happening around me, not the bad. But we wake up and we start scrolling on our phone, or we start looking at the news, and now we've trained our brain to look for a lot of negativity, look for lack. I just saw the person who went to the gym at 4 a.m. and ran 3 miles and then did a cold plunge. And here I am just like still laying in bed. And so then and this takes you literally 15 minutes. Like you just get out of bed, 5 minutes of breathing, 2 minutes of saying 5 things I'm grateful for. And then think about the day ahead. Think about how you want to feel, because it's all a choice. Think about how you want to feel. If maybe you have a hard conversation coming up that day, how are you going to act? How are you going to respond? I can't control other people. So just exist from a place of you. And then think about your goals. And one thing I do is I say my goals out loud as if I've already achieved them, instead of saying things like, I want to own my home outright. I own my home. I have no mortgage. You say it as if it's already happened, because that law of attraction you were talking about, you're going to move towards that and you're not even going to realize you're moving towards that. And so if you want to have success, it's never going to happen on accident. It's going to be you doing something. And for me, that's how I got started. I paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to be in this inner circle group, to where they gave me that. It was very much, here's exactly what to do to find success. And it worked. And so now I give that to everybody. You have to have a plan, because if not, you're going to wake up and you're going to immediately start scrolling. One thing most people do not have the knowledge of is the fact that when you sleep, your dopamine reserve fills up. It's like a battery. And the second we wake up, if we start looking at our phone and scrolling, we're depleting that reserve. So now when we get to our model homes, or when we get to our offices, or we open our laptop to start working, we have no motivation, because I know when I do that work, there's not going to be a hit of dopamine. There's going to be no release, because I used it all up scrolling on my phone. And so I'm very intentional about not looking at my phone until I have done all these things I want to do in the morning, until I've done things for myself to pour into me, to keep that reserve intact, so that then when I do start my work day, it's going to benefit me and I'm going to be motivated to do more and to keep going, because I'm getting my dopamine release from the actions that I'm doing, and not just the scrolling and information I'm processing.
Love that. I will admit my morning routine would be so much better if I did that, because I always notice like when I do get up and go outside first thing, or I just got patio furniture. And so I'm like so excited about it, because now I can go out and sit. But like just breathing in like the crispy air in the morning, this is the perfect time. We're filming this in like early fall. So it's the perfect time to go out and just feel so good in the morning with my cup of coffee. It's like the best.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that's everybody can do it. Just when the
Yeah.
alarm goes off, wake up, go outside, 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out. gratitude, thinking through your day, and then saying your top kind of three goals as if they're already achieved. And then just watch life change for you for the best. And all the things you start to notice that you didn't notice before.
Yeah, I love the saying it out loud. I also like a lot of, I like writing down things. Like a lot of people, they say, oh, these are the things that are important to me, or these are my values or whatever. But like, I find it's really helpful to write that down. But I do love, I feel like saying those out loud would be really impactful as well.
Well, because then you're saying it and you're also hearing it. And that's something we use in sales. There's a thing, visualization, which is so underutilized in the new home sales world. Because if I can get you visualizing yourself living in this house, if instead of me telling you what you could use this space for, but getting you talking out loud on what you're going to use this space for, it makes it real. And when things become real, it turns the shoulds into must. Instead of being like, yeah, I probably should move, it's, oh no, I must move. Because now I'm so sold on to this idea and I'm feeling myself in the space. I'm imagining and picturing myself having my coffee on the back patio with this view. And we don't use it enough. And the same tools you use to sell homes, sell yourself, get yourself visualizing how it's going to feel when you pay off your mortgage or how it's going to feel when you run that marathon or whatever it is that you want to do, how it's going to feel when you're the number one salesperson at the builder that you're at. And there's just so many cool things we can do from a psychological perspective to help ourselves, to attract our goals to us. But again, back to being disassociated, most people stop learning. Like we stop reading, we stop growing. And that's my core value is to be a lifelong learner. I never want to feel like I know everything or I know enough because the second you decide that, the second you become so certain of something, all growth stops. It's like the second I stop reading, the second I stop teaching, all of a sudden I may have incredible knowledge now, it's going to go away because as humans, we're never staying the same. We're either progressing or regressing. And most people aren't intentional enough to be cognizant to make sure that you're progressing. And so it's creating that awareness again.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just all about being intentional. You really just have to make this your focus and decide on it. And we can do so much more than we think we can. You can
My
really
gosh,
change your life just by thinking it and wanting it and making these intentional changes. Not easy
not
sometimes, but like
easy.
you can definitely do it. And we are in full control. I think that was a big shift for me when I like realized it's like I can actually control where my life is going to go and I'm not just here for the ride to see where it takes me.
And you said a powerful word, and that is decide. Every action was mothered by a decision. And so there will be no action, there will be no waking up and going outside and breathing until you decide to change your life. And I agree with you when you say it's not easy, but I think it can be. I think in our mind is designed to make things appear harder than they are. Like we'll obsess over doing prospecting, and then when we do it, we're like, oh wow, that was actually like pretty easy. And so where a lot of people like do the hard thing, I'm like, do the easy thing because it'll be easy if you tell yourself it is. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're not gonna fail, but in my mind, I really believe if you're pushing towards a goal, there is no failure. There's just success or learning. Now that's if you're pushing towards a goal. There is such thing as dumb failure, which that's negligence, right? It's oh I didn't hit my goal, but no, I didn't prospect a single I didn't prospect a single day. And so it's knowing the difference between smart failure and dumb failure, because smart failure is growth, but we don't have to make things so hard. And even trainers are guilty of that. We'll create a process and it is so hard that now the company, the salespeople are dependent on you for your constant training and explaining so they can grasp it. Whereas I'm like, this is not hard. We've made it hard. It's actually quite simple. It's caring about people, it's asking questions because you genuinely want to know, because you're trying to collaborate with these people and help them decide. It's not hard to change your life for the better. It's simply doing something and having a why behind the reason that you're doing it. And then it'll feel good. It won't feel overwhelming. It won't feel like burnout. It'll feel like excitement. Oh my gosh, I'm doing the thing. This is so cool. It doesn't mean there won't be heartbreak or tears, but even then, it's all worth it because it's coming from this place of change that you've been hungry for, that you've been desiring. And anyways, I could literally talk about this all day.
I know.
I love it.
I know. I think it's so funny because like that what you're describing, that person that's just like excited about what they do and has this passion, like they're such magnets. Like I love being around those type of people and you can feel it just in the room. Like you walk in, you're like that person. They're passionate, they're excited, they love what they're doing. And so not only does it change your life, but you change your environment around you and it changes the
Yes.
culture in your company and so many things that there's just so many pros that just trickle down as you start making those shifts.
Yeah. And when you move with intent and make those shifts, it is unbelievable the people that end up in your circle. It is unbelievable. And since launching Elevate, actually, that's one thing I have found is, oh my gosh, I have so many people who care about me. And it's such a beautiful thing coming from a place where I don't have a ton of family. And it's just, I felt like I've never had before what I have now to the degree that I have it. And one of my really good friends, he's the owner of a real estate company in Nashville. And I called him one day. He's such a great mentor, unbelievable person, so growth mindset. He's always reading all the things. He pays thousands upon thousands of dollars for coaching. And so I cheat because I get his coaching for free. And I called him and I was telling him, like, I was just really struggling with where I was and just felt myself losing myself. But I was so afraid to pull the trigger. I was so afraid to make a change because it was just terrifying.
Very
And like, I was just like, I just don't see a world where this goes positively. That's what I was thinking. And he said, have you ever went skydiving? And I said, absolutely not. And he said, I've been a bunch, and here's what I can tell you. Here's exactly how it goes. So you make the decision, you know you want to go, but you're not totally sold on it yet. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna go there and just catch the vibe. Okay, like I'll like officially make the decision once I get there. He said, and then you're gonna get there, and then everybody's being so casual about it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go up. He said, when you're on the like ascent, like you're on the plane, you're going up, you are thinking through every possible scenario that could go wrong. Like you were thinking through literal death. Okay. You're thinking through what if I like pee my pants? What if the thing doesn't work? What if the person who's on my back, like has a heart attack? He said, you're thinking about everything that could go wrong. He said, but what happens is you make the jump, you see this unbelievable world around you. You feel a feeling that you will never feel like again, right? Like just this rush, this just, oh my gosh, in that moment, you were given such perspective on life. And he said, then you land and you realize, I can do anything in the world. Like, what else? Bring me in, coach. Like, what else? I can do literally anything in the world. I just jumped out of an airplane. Are you kidding me? And he said, right now, you're on the ascent. He said, right now, you're thinking through everything that could go wrong instead of thinking through everything that could go right. And after I got off the phone with him is when I officially made the decision and took action towards leaving where I was, like that, like within minutes of that conversation. Because I thought, okay, I don't want to be on the ascent I don't want to be on the ascent forever because that's hard and I'm ready to jump. And all the feedback he gave me, it has been absolutely correct. And a lot of times that's what we do. We want to make a change. We want to improve our lives. We want to do something different. There's something we're passionate about, but we're scared to even feel passionate about it. And it's because we feel like there's going to be all this negativity around it, or we start letting those fears creep in of other people. And one thing he said to me too when we were on that call was, because my biggest fear was public perception and what other people were going to think. And I'm just such a lover and I love people and I'm so grateful for people that I quite literally will feel like I owe them my life. And he was like, most people in the world have six people genuinely rooting for them and wanting them to succeed. Everybody else is secretly hoping you fail. And he said, once you make peace with that, you're limitless. And I said, well, that's the most depressing thing I've ever heard. I'm like, six? I'm like, oh my gosh, only six? But I will tell you, since I made this decision, one thing that has been revealed to me is I have way more than six. like way more than 6, and that's been such a gift. And I guess that's the thing about expectations when you're like, okay, I know if 6 people are going to root for me and then everyone else is secretly hoping I succeed, I've got to be at peace with that. When that's your expectation and the lid just blows off and you have so many people, saying your name in rooms you've never been in and such a positive way, you're like, okay, I can do this. And because these people are helping me rise, I just want to help everybody rise too. And it's just beautiful. Like, take the chance, take the risk, whatever it is that you want to do. It's not silly, it's not stupid. If it means something to you, it's going to mean something to other people too. And it's just beautiful. Life is beautiful. I really believe that.
I love that. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited that you like did take the leap, and it's life is hard, but I think that when, like you said, like you just look for those good things and like root for other people as well, see other people's successes as not competition to yourself, but as like a great thing that's happened in the world, it just makes everything more fun. That's what we should be working for.
And you know what? I even really appreciate the bad days because I wouldn't know a good day without the bad days. So when something hard happens, I'm so grateful for it because it gives me perspective. If I hadn't have went through some of the things I've went through, were they hard? Oh my gosh, like they were gut-wrenching. They were like completely tragic, horrible. But because of those bad days, those bad times, I now appreciate the smallest things in life. There was at one point when I was younger, I was hospitalized because of malnutrition and dehydration. And so now I do not take food for granted. Like, I wake up every day and look at my pantry and I'm just like, oh, like what a gift. This is so beautiful. And I think that's huge is you always have to give yourself perspective. Like when something hard happens, like anything, whether it be my car breaking down or something weird happening, I'm just like, what? Could be worse. This is okay. And now that this has happened, I'm gonna be so grateful for a car that doesn't break down on me, whatever it is. And another thing you said about wishing, other people to have great success. This is another thing I've really thought about a lot because you think, does the world need another training company? Yeah, they do. Because there are 4,000 plus builders. There's even more than that sales organizations in this country. And even the trainers that currently exist in the country could not service all of them. There's still not enough. And also, when I look around at all the other training companies, it's a lot of people towards retirement age. Like there has to be a new wave of people come through, and I gave myself permission to allow me to be in that group.
I am excited that you did. And so, for our listeners, if they were to want to find you online and to reach out to you for Elevate, actually, how would they go about that?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn if you want professional wisdom, and I am on Instagram if you want more humor, just catch the stories. You never know what's going to happen. I'm on Facebook. I'm absolutely everywhere. My website is elevateactually.com. You can connect with me there, but I'm around. Girl, I'm around. Wherever you want to find me, there's a way. There is a way.
I will throw some of those links down in the description box as well. Thank you so much for being here. This has been such an uplifting conversation and such a good reminder as things in our world are a little crazy and it's easy to focus on, oh, that did not go how I wanted, or this thing happened and it was shitty. This is such a good reminder to look for all of the good in our lives. And I hope that all of our listeners found it as impactful as I did. But I always joke, I was like, I made this podcast and I'm like the one benefiting the most from this. I'm like, everyone else, you're here to eavesdrop on these conversations that I have with everyone because what a gift this conversation has been. So thank you so much, Brooke, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. I will see you in our next episode. Please follow the podcast, go follow Brooke, do all the internet things that help us out, and we'll see you next time. So thanks for being here, everybody. Bye.